the Boxing Trainers channel. Hey, what's going on with you? Tonight we got some boxing. We talking boxing. I try to do something about boxing every day because I am totally in love with the sport of boxing, right? And I mean that. You know what I mean? A lot of us that's out here doing these so-called podcasts, right? We doing it for one thing, right? And that's for the chain, for the money, right? Now, of course, you know what I'm saying? We all need to survive. So we all need some chain. But the distinction between the desire to get chain is not the same as wanting to be good at what you do when it comes to the sport of boxing, right? And that kind of separates me from the chain and those that's out there in the podcast scheme of things that's primarily and solely out there for the chain. So that being said, look, check this out here. We're having a conversation tonight about a fight that took place Saturday night. It was a bunch of fights that took place, but it was a few that really stood out. And this one in particular, to me, stood out because a lot of people went into this fight with the misconception that Oscar Valdez was going to be ready to go, right? He was going to do his thing, right? And revenge the loss that he previously took from the WBO champion of the world, Emanuel Navarrete, right? Now, check this out here. To me, right? I mean, this is to me. And over the internet, there has been a lot of chatter about this particular subject, right? And that was whether Oscar Valdez was prepared to go in there and get a victory, right? I mean, a lot of people are really dissatisfied with Oscar Valdez's performance. Now, I want to break, in my opinion, first of all, shout out to Ship Will Step. Man, I ain't seen you in a while, buddy. I'm getting back active, as you can see from my thumbnails and my new layout, right? That I'm ready to go. I'm ready to wow, get in there, pop, and do my thing, right? So, and I'm gonna do it, right? I laid off, right? I was kind of feeling a little down and out, right? Because I hadn't really got the integral parts of the so-called podcast, the entertaining aspect of the podcast in order, right? But I am slowly creeping up in there, and I am going one day be the best in the business. Got your money on that, right? And like I said before, right, for those that's paying attention, when I win, y'all win. In the sense that I want to be in a position one day to put something back. We don't do enough putting back, in my opinion. In fact, most of these cats, they ain't giving up nothing but some commentary in regards to boxing. And that's okay, you know what I'm saying? If that's the type of mindset that you was brought up in this world to be like, that's okay, right? But me, I was brought up to be in the mindset and in the mindset of help one another, help your brother and sister. Want for your brother and sister what you want for yourself. Now, we don't even do that today, right? Especially us of color. You know what I mean? We don't even care nothing about doing none of that, right? And it's a sad thing to say that the majority of us, and I want to go as far as to say about 95% of us, think in that light, right? All we want is what we can do for ourselves. We don't give a darn about the next man, right? And and look, it's like this, seriously speaking. Not that I'm on the subject, right? It's like we are the only set of people, right, that have been tricked into believing that it's okay to be like that. And it is a whole bunch of them out there that pay that. But now, me personally, I'm going to show y'all that hang out and hang around and do the boxing training channel once I start growing, because I'm going to grow, man. I am going to grow because I know what I'm talking about and I know the sport of boxing. So, that being said, look, check this out here. When I grow, y'all gonna grow. Now let's get to some boxing. Now, Emanuel Navarrete, right, beat the crap out of Oscar Valdez. Now, most of y'all think, well, he wasn't informed. Oscar Valdez wasn't informed. He didn't have all his energy on the table. his training staff might not been he didn't have, might not have had his best interest, and all that's fine and dandy if that's what you want to think. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, first of all, Oscar Valdez didn't go in there with the proper game plan to beat Emanuel Navarrete. Plain and simple, right? He was all over the board when it came to consistency, trying to penetrate the weaponry of Emanuel Navarrete. Couldn't do it. He couldn't do it, and I'm gonna say it's like this: like he couldn't do it because simple. Emanuel Navarrete was too long. Emanuel Navarrete had too much reach. Emanuel Navarrete was a veteran in the boxing scheme of things, right? And although Oscar Valdez is older, been in the game just as long as Oscar Emanuel Navarrete has been, but it's apparently clear to me that Oscar Valdez didn't train specifically for this fight, because if he had it, it'd have been about outcome. It'd have been a closer fight, and then this fight was just like Oscar Valdez looked to me looked like an amateur. And I've seen Oscar Valdez put up some outstanding performance. Outstanding performance, right? In the sense that he had the proper instructions going into the fight, right? I'm thinking this trainer is Reynoso, Saul Canelo Alvarez's trainer as well, right? I think that on this particular instance, I think that Reynoso was giving him proper instructions, because you could hear him in the corner, but Oscar Valdez wasn't following suit, wasn't following through, right? And it was like, where was he? I mean, he was totally, out of sorts, out of place in the ring with Navarrete. Navarrete was like a weapon, right? I mean, he was in and out, right? His punch selection was everywhere, right? And he kept Oscar Valdez uncomfortable. I hate to say this, but that's the name of the game. Man, make your opponent. But as a matter of fact, a lot of these cats today don't have that concept, right, of keeping your opponent off guard, keeping him in a position where he's uncertain, he's unsure, right? And as long as you can keep your opponent off guard, thinking instead of doing what you're supposed to be doing, and that's boxing, right? You don't really engage thinking when you boxing, right? Your regiment, your boxing regiment teaches you, right, to respond accordingly to whatever comes at you. Now, if you great or even good, right, you can do that, right? Like I'm gonna give you for instance, Floyd Mayweather was awesome, right? In the sense that you couldn't trick him out of sorts. You couldn't put him in a position where he was gonna lose or forget what he went in to do. He stayed on point. And a lot of these cats today, these young boxers, man, I hate to say it, man. And in fact, I was in Vegas. From the 2nd to the 6th. No, excuse me, yeah. I left on the 6th, right? And I went to a couple of them gyms. Maybe the gym is one of the gyms that I went to. And I had the opportunity to firsthand see some of those professionals or so-called professionals working out, right? And it behooves me to say that most of these dudes that's boxing today don't get the proper instructions in the corner. No disrespect intended about saying this, right? To become great. How about that? How about that? Right? I'm saying is there's too much repetitious training today as opposed to when I was boxing, right? When I was boxing, right, you had to grow and develop as you continue to box, especially if you was winning. Winning means that you're putting in the necessary work to keep on winning, right? That's what boxing is really about. You know what I'm saying? But I'm kind of like gravitating toward a lot of these dudes that's boxing today. They got they heart is in it, right? but they're not getting the proper instructions. I hate to tell you all this, and you probably think I'm a jerk for saying this, but I'm gonna tell them the truth. A lot of these dudes are not getting the proper instructions, and it's a hell of a thing, but it's a fact. And that being said, man, the boxing game got to do better, in my opinion. In my opinion. Now I can say that because I was in the game, right? I boxed. I've never been defeated, right? I've never been knocked down or knocked out, right? I can remember one occasion when I got a gut shot, right? That really kind of like um made me realize that I got to do something better with my stomach muscles, right? Because that's what it means, right? When you take a shot, right, and you're affected by the shot, that means that you ain't been working on your gut. So I started working on my gut, and that problem went away. That goes to what I just got to saying that a boxer has to continue to grow and develop if he's of the mindset that he wants to be great. You feel me? So, um, let me break this down shortly in regards to Oscar Valdez and Navarrete. First of all, again, Navarrete was just too damn long for Oscar Valdez, and I believe that Oscar Valdez went in there with the mindset that he knew that, right? That's why he was so out of sorts with his uh, routine, right? He was all over the place. There was nothing consistent in his training. There was nothing consistent in his fighting. There was nothing consistent in his speaking. You know what I'm saying? He was just all over the place, and it didn't make sense to me as an ex-boxer, right? That being said, that made but Oscar Valdez put himself in a position because he didn't go in there with a proper game plan to defend himself against that long Navarrete. That being said, man, y'all need to hit that subscription button. Drop a comment in the comment section and tell me what you think about whether Oscar Valdez days are over. And hit that like button. Hit the like button and drop a comment in the comment section and tell me what you think about whether Oscar Valdez needs to retire. That being said, I got to go. Later.